Episode of Chat with a Cop with the Garner Police Department. I am your host, Sergeant Medlin, and today we have a very special guest, Animal Control Officer Mike Gale. Good morning, Mike.
Good morning. How are you, Sarge?
I'm well. So, let's get right into it, man. So this is a hot topic nowadays with animal control, and so we're not just talking about domesticated animals. We're talking about wildlife and some things that you may see roaming around in the backyard sometimes. So let's go to the first topic. What's the first topic you guys or that you want to address to the town today?
So, good morning. So with summer being here and everybody out being more active now with your pets, and again, wildlife is out and about, that's something that we get a lot of calls on is wildlife, whether it be sick, injured, or just seeing them around in neighborhoods. We do take wildlife calls depending on the situation. The one thing that I would say about wildlife is if you do see wildlife out in the daytime, and when I mean wildlife, I'm talking specific animals like raccoons, fox, things like that, bats. Those are usually night dwellers. If you see them out in the daytime, chances are they're probably sick. So you want to stay away from them. Give us a call. We'll come out and we'll check it out and see if they are sick. If they are sick or injured, we'll go ahead and get them removed from the property and get them where they need to be, get them taken care of. But you will see a lot of that, especially in the summer months, spring, usually between April and October. It's pretty active with wildlife. Raccoons are the big ones. Everybody thinks that they see a raccoon out and it's drooling or foaming at the mouth or acting weird that it's got rabies. There is that potential for them to have rabies. Most of the time, what it is they're suffering from a condition called distemper, and that's kind of similar to rabies. It's a respiratory disease that affects their brain. So they will start acting strange. They might even approach people, approach your home. Again, they may act like they're drunk. They may spin around, fall down, have a hard time walking. So those are animals that we do need to get off the streets and out of the neighborhood. So it is crucial that you give us a call, and we'll come take care of those. The other big thing we have this year, and I know we've had a lot of things going on locally with exotic animals and such. We don't allow here in the town any exotic animals. Snakes, anything like that, any venomous animals, reptiles, those type of things, we don't allow them here in the town limits. So
what about an iguana?
They're classified as exotic. So
really,
anything other than a dog or a cat or a ferret, you can have here in the town. But if you have a room full of venomous snakes, that's something that we're probably not going to have you keep. So again, with the snakes too, we have a big I would say the biggest worry that I have with snakes is the copperheads, because those are the ones that can make you sick. It can really cause some damage to you and a pet if it's bitten. So we do respond to snake calls. We'll have to do that if they are inside a residence. We'll go remove them from inside a home. But if they're outside, normally we don't respond to snakes in yards. And again, the biggest thing is the copperheads. You need to be careful with those. Black snakes are good because they will fight with the copperheads. So if you see some black snakes around your home, that's probably a good thing, because chances are you're not going to have copperheads around.
Rodents.
Or rodents, yeah, mice, things like that. So
for the viewers that may not know exactly what to look for when it comes to snakes, can you describe what to look for as far as black snakes? All black.
Correct.
But what about snakes? A copperhead?
So copperhead are kind of unique in their look. What I like to tell people is their pattern. They're kind of a brown, maybe tan, maybe a little reddish, but they almost look like they have like a Hershey Kiss shape on the sides of their body along. So if you see something that looks like a Hershey Kisses along a snake, that's good telltale sign that's copperhead. And their heads will be a little bit different shape than a black snake. They're going to look like more of a triangular shaped head, your venomous snakes. So if you see a snake that has a triangular shaped head, that's probably something that you want to stay away from. So it's good, again, to know that what you're looking for. And most of the time when we get people bitten by snakes, it's usually they stumble upon them while they're doing yard work or planting flowers, that type of thing. So I always tell people, use caution when you are walking, especially in the parks too, through the trails. They love to hang out in the pine straw bushes. So and again, in your yard, if you have a lot of wood piles or things like brush and stuff like that that's not cleaned up, or just be aware that those are areas that they like to hang out in. So you might be surprised if you are working and you come across something like that, because that's where they really like to hang out. So.
What kind of advice can you give to people? Let's say, they're outside doing yard work and they do get bitten by what they believe to be a copperhead based on the description that you just gave. What's one of the first things that they should do?
And that's the big thing. You need to identify the snake. If you can identify it, you need to either call EMS or get yourself to hospital pretty quickly, because that venom can be pretty bad. What I would say, caution too, is the younger snakes, the babies, the juveniles, they will release all of their venom at one time. So if you get bit by a juvenile copperhead, it's going to be the venom it's going to be potent. Where the adults, they kind of only release a little bit at a time. So again, the biggest thing is if you can identify, it's a venomous snake, you need to get to the hospital and call EMS right away so they can start treating you. So again, with wildlife, we see a lot of that this time of year. Please give us a call again if you see them out during the daytime. They're really, most of the time, they're sick. So that's something that we want to take care of right away and get out of your neighborhood or your yard or wherever it might be. The other thing I wanted to touch base on is dog parks here in the town. We have 2 dog parks, one over at Lake Benson, and we have one over at North Garner Rec Park. Each park, they differ. The one at Lake Benson has 2 separate kind of parks within one for the large dogs and one for smaller dogs. They kind of section them off. That way we don't have big dog attacking a little dog, or even a little dog going after a big dog. The other park, we don't, it's just one park for all dogs. I do have a couple concerns that I've seen over the years here in our dog parks. I think they're great. It's a good way for you to get your dog exercise and run around and socialize. But there are a couple of things that you probably really need to be careful about when you do take your dog to the park. One of them being is I see a lot of people with throwing toys, frisbees, balls, whatever. It's you need to be careful with that, because dogs obviously can be possessive when it comes to a toy or even food. People bring treats in to praise their animals. I would recommend against bringing toys in, treats, food, any type of something like that could cause 2 dogs to fight, get involved with each other. And we do see a lot of dog bites in the dog park that result from people trying to break up dog fights. So again, the toys and the things like that is really, I know that you want to play with your dog, but it's going to save you a lot of trouble. And hopefully you won't have to encounter that situation where you're going to have to break up your dog from another dog. Everybody thinks that my dog is nice and sweet and is not going to hurt anybody or not going to attack another dog, but at the end of the day, they are animals, and you just don't know how they're going to react when you get them around another group of animals, and they do have their toys or something that's a prized possession of them. They might not want another dog to mess with. So I just like to tell people, use caution when you're at the dog parks, because again, we see a lot of dog bites that result from fights at the dog parks. So
Mike, while we're on that topic, we do have a question from a viewer, and the question reads, is it okay to keep 2 boxers locked up in a garage with no one there?
Well, under our town ordinances, we do have to make sure that our dogs are provided with shelter. If the dogs are inside a garage and they are being cared for and they're being fed and watered daily and taken care of, it's perfectly okay to keep them inside a garage. That garage constitutes shelter. So as long as we know that someone is there caring for the dogs, like again, food and water, and letting them use the bathroom daily, it's okay.
All right.
So we touched on the wildlife. We touched on some dog park things. One of the big questions I get a lot is with the town limits. I enforce our town ordinances right here within the Garner town limits. There are a lot of people that live outside the town limits that have a Garner zip code mailing.
They even live in Johnston County.
Correct, Johnston County. Yes. So I get a lot of calls from people that live outside the town because they say, "Well, I am Garner." Well, that you may be, but again, I only enforce what's within our town limits. So if you fall outside of that, you're going to be under Wake County, depending on where you're at, Johnson County, may even be Raleigh on the other side of town. So right where we're at, it's kind of tricky sometimes on the locations of where your house is at. You know, again, a lot of people say, well, I'm Garner, but well, you're not in our town limits per se. So there's a lot of confusion when it comes to that. So if you are in the town limits, I will enforce our town ordinances. If you do have questions, you're outside of our town, and I'd be more than happy to direct you. You can always get a hold of me, and I'll direct you to who you need to talk to, whether it be Johnson County, Wake County, Raleigh. We all work pretty closely together. So again, anything that questions that you might have and not knowing your location, please give us a call, and I'd be more than happy to tell you who services your area.
One thing I've told people in the past, and it seems to work pretty good, is look at your trash cans. What kind of trash pickup do you have? Do you pay for trash pickup through, another company like GFL or Anchor or someone?
Right.
Or do you have Town and Garner seal on the side of your trash can?
Very good. Yes.
If your trash is picked up by the Town and Garner and you have a green Town and Garner trash can and recycling bin, then you pay city taxes and you live within our city jurisdiction.
Correct. Yeah.
So that's a good way to know whether you live in the city or not.
That's good. That's good to know. That's something that I can tell people. No, I didn't really think about that.
Let's go back a quick second about dogs.
Sure.
Okay. When it comes to a dog bite, what is the procedure? What is the correct procedure? So I'm walking down Main Street and a dog runs up and bites me in the leg. What should I do?
We talking about a stray dog? We talking about a dog that's being walked by
Okay,
say an
let's
owner?
do. Good point.
Couple scenarios.
Let's do both. So in my scenario I just gave, it's a stray dog. We don't know whose it is.
Okay, so you get bit by a stray dog. Probably we want to make sure we can maybe follow that dog, see where it's going, contain it if we can. The best thing to do would be to obviously to capture the dog, because obviously we don't know a rabies status on that dog. So that's going to make a difference in how we take care of your bite and how you're going to be treated if you go to a medical facility for that bite. What's going to happen is that we're going to have to, hopefully if we can contain that dog, we will quarantine it and make sure that it's not sick. What that dog will be is under a 10-day quarantine, and any animal bite that we have is always under a 10-day quarantine, whether it's vaccinated or not. But again, strays are very important, because again, if you were bitten now walking down the street by somebody, passing somebody on the sidewalk, and say that dog happens to come out and just nip you on the leg for whatever reason, now you have an owner there. We want to make sure that we get the dog's information, all its rabies information, if it's current on its shots, the dog owner's name, where they live at. So that's got to make a difference. Again, it's our bites that we know where the dog came from or who owns it is much easier to handle, than something where it'd be a stray. Because a lot of times if we get somebody that has been bitten by a stray dog and it runs off and we can't locate it and contain it, normally what's going to happen is the health department or whatever medical facility that you go to, doctor's office, urgent care, Garner, Wake Med, emergency room, probably going to suggest that you get started on the rabies shots.
Because we don't know.
Right. So we don't know a status. It's not mandatory that you take the rabies shots, but they will strongly advise that you go ahead and start the series of shots. Now, if we can locate the dog at another time and we can find out, say it was owned by somebody and it got loose, and we do check the rabies status on it and it sounds like it's up to date and everything's good, you can just continue the shots. So it is important, again, that if it is a stray dog, that we try and locate it if possible, because it does make a difference in how that scenario works out.
But regardless, we should be reporting this. We should be reporting.
Anytime you get bit by a dog, please call 911. Call us. We'll come out, and like I said, we'll take all the information and make sure we get that dog under quarantine as soon as we can. And if you do go to a medical facility and you didn't call us, or you wanted to wait to call us, by law, every medical facility has to report animal bites to law enforcement or animal control. So at some point, we're gonna get the information, but it is better that you call right away so we can get on this as soon as we can, because it does make a difference as far as our rabies protocol, how that works for the bites.
Very good. Let's talk a little bit about bats.
Sure.
Because we've had instances where bats do get inside residences. And so let's say, we get a bat inside our residence, it could be in the attic, it could be in a bedroom, it could be in the kitchen, it could be anywhere in the house. What should a person do? Let's say it's during business hours between 8 and 4.
Gotcha. That's good question. So again, bats, they can carry rabies. So that's something that if you do have a bat in your home, I don't suggest you just open the door and let it out. Now, it depends on a lot of things. If we're going to test that bat for rabies, or we can just say, yeah, we can let that one go. You mentioned attic. So if you have bats in your attic, we don't go up in attics or crawl spaces or anything like that for bats. A lot of times people have colonies in their attics. We do recommend that you call Wildlife Removal Service, and they will come out and help you with that situation. Bats, same thing with like snakes. If they're in your home in a living space, then we'll go out and collect that bat and decide if it's that specimen needs to be tested. If it's found in your bedroom, if you wake up at night and you find it flying around your room, which it's common, especially in the summer months, that's a bat that I would highly recommend that we test, because they've been known to bite people in their sleep, and their teeth are so fine that you could be bitten by a bat and not realize it. So any bat that's found in your home, I would strongly suggest you call me right away. Call us, and especially during normal business hours. I'm here 8 to 4, Monday to Friday. I'll come out and we'll collect it, and we'll make that determination if that's a bat that needs to be tested. But a lot of people just go ahead and get rid of them themselves, and it's probably safer again to let us make that determination on what we need to do with that bat. You're going to get a lot of bats. July, August, September, those are our busy months. In August, their little ones are starting to learn how to fly, so we get a lot of activity in late August into September. So anytime you do have a bat inside your residence, please give us a call. Let me figure out what the best situation is for you, and what we're going to do with that specimen. So with that being said, too, I guess I'll just kind of skip over to my business hours, our business hours for animal control. I'm here Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. Sometimes I'm here a little longer, sometimes I'm in earlier, just depends, but typically it's 8 to 4. There is a different response between what animal control and then what patrol officers would be dispatched to when I'm not here. So after hours, again, after 4 p.m., if you have an animal-related call, you're most likely going to get a patrol officer. Same thing with the weekends. I'm not here on the weekends, so all those animal-type calls for service are going to be dispatched to patrol. So there is a different type of response, because they can only do so much as far as really what they're allowed to do for their safety. Again, one of the biggest things would be, bats. They're probably going to refer you to a wildlife removal service if that works for them, or they can obviously wait till the next business day and I can come out. There's other things that patrol won't be able to help you with. We have a big population of feral cats here in the town. We get multiple requests during our work week for cat traps, feral cats. So,
and officers aren't going to trap those.
Yeah, officers aren't going to deal with cats. Again, and that's a rabies issue, because I'm have the pre-exposure shots for rabies. So feral cats, again, they're feral. They're out in the wild. They're interacting with wildlife. There's a chance that they could be infected with rabies. So if we get an officer trying to deal with the cat and they get bit, now we've got an officer that could possibly have been in contact with something that's been rabid. So we want to keep them safe. So depending on, again, your type of call, what the response, what they're going to be able to do is, a lot of times they're just going to refer you unless it's a really dire emergency. Most of the time, if it can be handled by me, they're going to just go ahead and refer them to me for the next day, or if it's a weekend, and the following Monday. But again, they're able to do most calls. Again, sometimes dog pickups like that may wait, depending on how busy they are. If there's a space issue at the shelter too, sometimes we just aren't able to bring animals to shelters because it is a lack of them having room for them. So most of the time you're going to get a pretty good response from patrol. Again, I specialize in what I do, so again, I don't do y'all's job, and so a lot of those things, again, it's a specialty things. That's why they have me. So not that patrol's not going to be able to do it. Sometimes you might have to be a little bit patient and wait for me, depending on the call or what that might be. I think I wanted to hit on dangerous / vicious animals.
Okay.
I think that's something that people have had a lot of questions on. And I think under our town ordinances, we've made a lot of changes over the last several years in our dangerous dog ordinance. They've changed. We just, in March, it was redone again. It's more stringent now in order to keep, if you do have a dog that's been deemed dangerous by the police department of the town here, it's more stringent now, the rules in order to keep that dog. There's a lot of things that you have to do to comply to have a dangerous dog. And again, I think people get confused between dangerous, vicious, or what, maybe just the view on what, everybody's kind of view is different on what they think a dog is, mean or vicious. Again, it depends on the severity of the attack, what the situation is. I think sometimes people get a little bit hung up on dog breeds and think that, pit bulls, Rottweilers, German Shepherds, those type of dogs, they think, oh, those are vicious, mean dogs. I caution people to just kind of stay away from thinking that, because any dog can be vicious or mean or bite. I just think that sometimes certain breeds get bad raps, but again, we see bites from all different types of breeds, dogs. I've run into many Labradors that have been mean and vicious over my career. I've been doing this for 20 years now, so I've seen all kinds of dogs act differently and aggressive. Chihuahuas, I'm terrified of those dogs. They're little, but they're mean. They usually only like one person, and that's the owner, and the one person in the family. They're little jerks too. But not to say, because I think they're cute. But again, I just caution people. Just again, vicious. If it's something where a dog has a pattern of a biting history, or just acting aggressive towards people, those are things that you need to be cautious around. I know that with children, their biggest thing is they love to pet a dog and they want to come approach a dog. So it's important that we teach our children not to just go up to every dog, that think that every dog is friendly, and kids always want to hug a dog or kiss a dog, and they reach for them around the neck.
It's almost like my daughters right now.
And it's like, when we do the summer camps, we talk to the kids about being careful and safety around animals. And the biggest thing I see every time is the kids want to reach and hug around the neck. And the way I try and explain to them is that, how would you feel if a stranger came up to you and just reached you around the neck and tried to kiss your neck or put and they kind of see it differently. So again, especially with kids, we need to really make sure that they're aware that, that dogs are used to a certain thing, and what you think you're doing is being friendly to them or lovable, they might take that as a threat or cause them to react where they may bite. So again, I mean, it's a lot of education as far as that goes with the kids, because we all know kids love dogs. I love dogs, cats, any type of animal. It's important that we don't get hung up though on that, a certain type of breed is going to bite or could be vicious or dangerous. So
what about chickens? Let's talk a little bit about chickens. Do we require permits?
So you are allowed to have hens here in town. We have a ordinance. They do have to be permitted. You have to obtain your permit through planning. They'll issue your permit. We kind of work together, code enforcement, myself. I usually do all the enforcement of the pens, and if the chickens get loose, those type of things like that. But yeah, you do have to have them permitted. You can have 8.
So 8's the
eight is the
most
magic
you can
number.
have.
Yeah, and again, you have to have them in a pen and a run that's been approved. And it's, they have to sit so far back from property lines and other people's property. But again, you'll obtain your permit here through the planning department. Roosters, that's a big one. We have a large rooster population in our town, and I don't think people are really aware that we're not allowed to have them here in the town.
So hens, yes, as long as they're permitted. Roosters, a no.
Roosters are no-nos. So just some good information for you all, that I get plenty of calls about roosters waking people up. And so it's hard for me to pinpoint sometimes where they're at. but I try to do my best when we do get these calls to locate where they're at. And most of the time, I'll give the rooster owner some time to go ahead and find a new home. We're not going to tell you have to get rid of it tomorrow, but it is something that we need to take care of. And most people are pretty good about that. Most people just don't really know a lot about animal ordinances. There are a lot of ordinances here in the town that people have lived in this town forever that they're not even aware of certain ordinances for, again, having chickens, even our dogs and cats. We have to have our dogs and cats registered. It is a town ordinance that all dogs and cats must be registered separately here with the town. So not only do you need your North Carolina a rabies tag, the town requires you to have a Garner registration as well. And
they come to town hall to do that.
They come to town hall to do that, and you need to go to the finance department, and you'll need to bring your rabies certificate, that's signed from the vet, not your tag, not the little metal tag that you get. You need to bring your signed certificate from the vet, and they will issue you a Garner tag.
And how many dogs can one person possess in the town?
So in our town, you are only allowed 2 dogs. So again, even the cats have to be registered. Dogs are supposed to wear their tag at all times. Cats aren't required to wear their tags. But if you come to town hall, bring your rabies paperwork, you can get your tag. So each animal that you have, if it's spay or neutered, it's only $10. But if they're not, if they're intact, then that's going to be a $25 charge. And that's good for their duration of their life or while they're here in Garner. So again, a lot of these ordinances that are on the books as far as animals go, people just aren't aware. Again, we have a lot. If you are really interested in knowing more about town ordinances, go ahead and look that up on the town website. You'll be able to find the ordinances. And if you have any questions too for me at any time, I can be reached here at the police department. I'll be more than happy to answer any questions as far as ordinance go, because again, a lot of people just don't know that some of these ordinances exist.
What about tagged animals? Do we have people can tag their animals?
Oh, as far as like microchipping
at the parks?
So you're talking about like the dog parks?
Yeah.
So if they go in the dog park, they need to have a tag. I guess I'm confused.
Yeah, me too a little bit. So yes, to bring a dog in the park, the dog park.
The dog park again is there's really nobody standing at our gates enforcing the rules that they've set forth. Parks have their set of rules on what is allowed at a dog park and how to bring your dog into the park. Basically, you're supposed to have your dog registered with the town to get that dog in the park, and you need to have it rabies vaccinated through the state. Problem that we have with the dog parks is that we get people not from Garner using our parks that are passing through, or from again outside municipalities, other places. People come in and use the park, so we really don't have any way for sure to make sure that every animal that's in that park has a tag, registered, vaccinated, all that good stuff. So that is, again, do I caution people about using dog parks is just sometimes you just need to be aware of what could happen if you're going to use the park, because again, nothing's 100% safe, especially when you get a bunch of dogs together. Things just happen, and then before you know it, you're either bitten or your dog has been injured, or we hate to see that type of thing. And we said earlier, at the end of the day, they're dogs. We don't know how they're going to act. So you just really need to use caution. I would recommend, though, that if you frequent the dog park and you take your animals there a lot, make sure you're up to date on all your shots. You have your town registration, and you're good to go. That way, if something does happen, you're covered in that aspect of it. So.
We do have a couple more questions here. So during the next rabies clinic, would it be possible to also offer registration for animals with the town?
Actually, that's probably a pretty good idea. I could look into that, because I think, that would actually be pretty good to do at the same time. We could take care of a lot at one time. So let me do some research on that. I think that's an excellent question, and man, that might be something really that could really be helpful to everybody. So yes, I will check into that. Our next clinic we're looking for probably going to be early October. Date hasn't been set in stone yet, but you can pretty much guarantee it's going to be sometime in early October. So Normally, when we get the date set with our vet that helps us out, we get it out on social media and town website and all that good stuff. So that's I really never thought of. That's an excellent
I've never thought of it
suggestion.
either.
That's
So,
an excellent suggestion.
to
Yeah,
Morgan, thank you for that
absolutely.
suggestion.
That's wonderful.
One more question here, and I think I know the answer to this, but what is the number to call for animal control?
So animal control, you're going to call the main number at the police department, 919-772-8810. You're going to get some prompts to different departments. I'm extension 6979. That's animal control. Again, I'm on the road all day long. I come check my voicemails periodically, emails, that good stuff. But if you do have an emergency, you need to call 911. If it's just a general question or a concern or something, you can leave a voicemail for me or even email me, and typically I get back to you during the day, sometime during the day. Just depends how my day is going, if I'm real busy or not. But I will get to everybody's voicemails, emails, questions, concerns. But again, I think sometimes people will call and leave a message for something that's urgent, and I hate for it to see that, because again, if I'm tied up on a call, I'm the only animal control staff. If I'm tied up, you're going to get somebody that's going to respond to you. You're going to get a patrol officer. We're going to get somebody out to you. So if it's something that's pressing, please, don't leave a voicemail or an email. Give us a holler, and we'll get somebody out there as soon as we can.
Great questions.
Yeah, very good. The other thing too I want to touch base on was about the rabies clinic. We are hoping this time around the fall that we can do some microchipping as well. So if we do that, usually our price is going to be $20 for the microchip, which is a pretty good deal. So that's something that we're hoping to get back. We were doing that previously, and we had switched over with our vet. So there was some logistics and some other things trying to get things worked out. But I think we're getting squared away now to offer that. So. Boy, if we could do the tags and the microchipping and everything like that, that would be
registration.
that would be excellent.
That'd be great.
So, kind of looking forward to that now. Yeah, one stop
shop
for sure. Let's see. There was everything else I wanted to touch base on, too. This again this summer. I know we all like to take our dogs for rides in the car. You know what I mean? I love to take my dog everywhere with me, but just when it gets hot this time of year, it doesn't take long for a car to shoot up temperature-wise. I get a lot of calls over at the White Oak Shopping Center with people, running into Kohl's or Target or even the restaurant for a little bit while their dog's in the car. And whether you crack your window or the sunroof, you're still going to get that temperature is going to shoot up really extremely fast once you turn your car off. Remember, that car is sitting on hot pavement. Okay, so you're getting the heat coming off the pavement out and bouncing back up, and then the sun as well. So, and even on a cloudy day, if it's hot, it doesn't take long for the car to shoot up. So please, people, I know you love your pets and you want to take them for a ride, but when it's real hot, leave them home. If you're going to go shopping for a while or do something, it's best to leave them home, because again, there's nothing worse than finding a dog that's been trapped in a car with 120 degrees plus, and it's just not, again, it's not safe for them at all. They're more comfortable at home, And
if I can touch on that just for a second, last week the Garner Fire Department did a great display, I guess you might call it. So they went to the Target. They went to both Targets, one each different day, and I went over there and hung out with them for about 3 hours or so. And it was hot outside last week. It was really hot. The day I went was Friday. And they had their truck parked in front of Target, so everyone could see. And they have a device, and it's like a board. It's pretty tall. And the top temperature is the temperature that they have that's inside the truck. They've got the doors shut, the windows up, and they have a sensor, a thermometer, and they put it in the back seat. So it's not even in the front where the sun comes in, but it's in the back seat. And then the number below was the outside temperature number. And so with the heat coming off the ground, the temperature at one point was reading, it was right around like 96, 97, something like that. But the temperature inside the truck crept up to it was over 160 at one point, 160 degrees inside of a vehicle. So imagine being locked in this vehicle with no water, no fresh air.
And covered in fur.
Exactly. So a human does this and puts a fur coat on at the same time.
Exactly. Yeah.
So it's a good point.
And yeah, dogs can't. They don't regulate their body temperature like we do. So again, it's very crucial. Like I said, for it only takes a short time for an animal to develop some brain issues from the heat. So even if you think you're going to be in somewhere 5 or 10 minutes, sometimes how things happen in a store or a restaurant. You might think you're only going to be there for a few minutes, and that 5 to 10 minutes maybe turns into 30. So that's why I say I know it's fun to take your animals places, but again, when it gets in the summer months, it's just best to leave them at home if you can.
Agreed.
And if you have to leave them in a car, and I do tell people this, if you have to take them somewhere and you're able to do this, is go ahead and leave the car running. If you have an extra set of keys, leave the air on. I know that's not ideal, but if you have to, that's safer for the animal.
Sure.
I know that you're just kind of setting yourself up for someone to break into your car, but hopefully if they see a dog inside, that's going to deter them from wanting to break into your car. But that would be my biggest recommendation, is if you have to do that, leave it running, lock it up, and put the air on for them.
We have another question here. It says, is it illegal in North Carolina for animals to be left inside? It is in other states.
To be left inside.
I'm assuming
inside a home, probably.
Probably.
And again, see, your home constitutes shelter for a dog.
Mm-hmm.
So again, as long as that dog is being cared for daily and it's got food and water, I mean, I can't, again, and a lot of times people think that, it's not getting exercise, or it's always never goes outside and stuff. We can't force people to walk their dog. We can't force people to, take them outside and do things like that. Or, well, this dog's in a pen all the time and it doesn't get, exercise. As long as they're following what our ordinances say, and they're complying with it, again, shelter, food and water, and they're up to date with all their vaccinations. I mean, there's really, as long as, again, they're being cared for, they're okay inside the home.
Okay. Oh, she clarified inside cars. That's okay. So yeah. So no to cars when it's this hot outside.
Yeah. Yep. Again, it's just, and again, like I said, a cloudy day it doesn't have to be sunny. And when it's hot, cars, the temperature just soars quickly once you turn the air off. I think, again, we talked a little bit about bites, and I would like to say too that I think people get confused about the quarantine of animals, and again, whether your dog is vaccinated or not, because I get a lot of pushback sometimes when I go to tell somebody that your dog has to be quarantined. Well, they don't understand. Well, it's up to date on shots. It's a North Carolina Health Department state law that animals have to be quarantined for 10 days to observe them for rabies, whether they're vaccinated or not. So that's one thing I want to make clear to people. Whether your dog is vaccinated or not, we still have to quarantine for 10 days. That's just the state law. Everybody follows that.
Yeah. So that's not a Garner thing. That's a state law.
A state law. And most of the time, 9 times out of 10, we allow you to do what is called a home quarantine of your dog. And people are terrified that we're going to come take their dog to the pound or somewhere. If you're up to date on your shots and everything is good, we'll go ahead and let you quarantine your dog at home. So basically, your dog's going to be under house arrest, for 10 days. And again, it's not nothing that we're trying to pick on people on. That's just state law that we have to follow when it comes to animal bites. So, any other questions?
We don't have any new questions up here. So if there's anything else you'd like to touch on, then
do you have any questions?
Do I have any questions? I don't think so, man.
No?
I think I'm good. We've touched on a lot of big time topics that, especially nowadays, we're seeing with the dogs in the cars.
Yeah, you've helped me out on a couple of those before.
Yeah, how's
you
your
seen it
head
firsthand?
Doing? Your head's doing okay now?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Had a little bit of a mishap there during
We
that
did.
one, but it was okay. Minor injury,
It's
not
okay.
really an injury.
The dog's okay though.
Everything
We're
worked
proud
out.
to report the dog is okay.
Yep. Dog is good.
But yeah, no, thank you again for coming out. Remember, if it's after hours, and it's an emergency, especially, we're coming. The Garner Police is coming to help.
Somebody's coming.
But patrol officers are not trained and they don't have the correct vaccinations that you are up to date on as far as dealing with cats and bats.
Right. They're limited in some of the things that they can do.
If you get me coming to your house, I'm not getting anywhere near a snake. It's just not happening. Sorry.
Yeah, I don't think anybody really enjoys the snake calls, but again, it's something that we do. And if you say you have an emergency, like Sergeant Medlin said, please call 911. Don't wait if it's something that again is pressing and you feel like it's there's a threat or something, there's a danger. Please give us a call.
Would you have one more?
Sure.
Who do you call for dead animals, like domestic? She's specifically saying domestic.
So if it's your own personal animal, we recommend that you take it to maybe your vet or something like that. As far as dead animals that I come across, I do come across sometimes animals that have been hit by cars. I go ahead and scan those and make sure that they don't have a chip or they have an ID on them, so I can locate the owner, let them know. But normally, if it's your own pet and you need it disposed of, I would recommend calling your vet, and they're usually pretty good about helping you with that situation. Again, ours, when I pick up domesticated animals, I make every attempt to try and
Locate
find the owner if I can. So, the other thing too, I want to touch on real quick, if we got just a minute.
Go ahead.
Deer, especially in the springtime, you'll see the fawns around. Sometimes you'll get people call me and say, I got this fawn outside my window in my house next to the bush. Well, it's sick or it's been abandoned. Well, it hasn't been. Mama's put it there for a reason. She's out watching it. She knows where she put it. It's what happens with deer is they like to put their fawns in a place where they think it's not a threat from other wildlife. So that's why they will put it near a home, your house or garage, something like that, because that's safer for them from predators. So if you do see a fawn, make sure that it's, again, don't pick it up. Don't try and, I've had people put them in their cars and bring them up here and, say, oh, mine will be back.
They put deer
for
in
it.
the car?
Huh? Yeah, I've had them put them in the car and stuff. So if you see fawns, leave them alone. If it's after 24 hours and it's still there, then we may have a problem. But normally within 24 hours, mama's coming back for it. So we get a lot of those calls in the springtime with the deer and stuff. So just be aware that they're not sick, they're not abandoned. It's put there for a reason. So
what about domestic animals on the side of the road? Like if they come across a dead dog.
If you see a dead dog or a dead cat, please give us a call. Again, you can call the main number. You can leave me a voicemail or something like that, and I will go out. I will make sure I get that animal off the road. I'll try and make sure we scan it for a chip. It's got ID on it. And then again, I want to make sure that I notify somebody because I would want to know if my dog was missing. So I will go out and collect that animal and get it off the roadway or wherever it's at. So my number one concern is, again, trying to find that owner.
What about, do we accept animals that people want to just get rid of?
So owner surrenders. He want to get rid of their dog, can't take care anymore. We don't take owner surrenders in the field. We used to. Our policies have changed, and not just our policies have changed. It's coming from Wake County too, because we take all our animals to Wake County. So we have to follow kind of Wake County's protocols, and when they change things. So if you do want to surrender an animal, you need to call the Wake County Animal Center and set up an appointment, and they will take your animal from you. Now, depending on the situation, if there's an emergency situation involved and it's some type of serious bite or something, and it's your dog, and you don't want to keep it, now we will make exceptions depending on the situation. But as a rule, in general, just to surrender a dog, we don't do that. You need to contact the Wake County Animal Center for that.
All right. Well, look, I appreciate you coming out today. We have answered a lot of questions, and I knew this would be one of my more interactive topics.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
And thanks for all the information that you've given me and everybody in the town of Garner, because I didn't know that about the deer. I didn't know that the mama just puts them there, and because I thought the same thing sometimes when I see these deer. I'm like, man, they got separated from mama. That's kind of sad, but apparently.
They'll be back. Yeah, absolutely, they'll be back. But yeah, thanks for having me. I appreciate it. Again, if you have any questions or concerns for me, outside of this, I'm here Monday through Friday. You can reach me by phone, emails.
Yeah,
even come on up to the police station and want to talk to me. I'll be more than happy to sit down and talk.
I'm gonna put it in the comments. So mgale@garnernc.gov. Correct?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
There it is. All right, Mike, thank you for coming out.
Absolutely.
And we'll see you guys next month. We'll put it out on Facebook and Instagram and Nextdoor and all of our social media platforms for the next episode of Chat with a Cop. I am your host, Mike Medlin. Thank you for tuning in.